Hey everyone, howdy doody. Lieutenant Sogbro back, episode 5 I think of the podcast, so I made it a full month. Thanks everybody who's ever thank you everybody who has been watching the videos so far. I hope that I've helped espouse some knowledge to you, or if not, at least made your drives to or from wherever you're going a little bit more bearable. Or those of you who know family, friends, or loved ones soon to start serving, soon to start training, or are currently in the process of. Hopefully this gives you some more insight. Hopefully this video will go a little bit more smoother than the other ones. I've actually written down some more points to talk about. It shouldn't be terribly long though. We'll see. Either way, if you're watching this, apologize. It's about 4 in the afternoon here in Lancaster, California, and that bright spot isn't me being ascended. It's not me being bald, even though I did get a fresh cut. It's just a bit sunset and all of that. Anyway, first things first, if you haven't already, I mean, it's a little I'm not a review or anything, but Black Panther's pretty damn cool. Yeah, no, I don't say that because I'm Nigerian, a little bit, but it's pretty cool. So if you have any plans, or if you don't have any plans this weekend, I strongly suggest watching it. And of course, as typical of all Marvel movies, make sure that you stay till literally the theater lights come on, because there's 2 end of credit scenes. But yeah, no, the movie was really cool. I enjoyed it. Today, you might be noticing that I'm throwing this video up a little bit earlier than usual. I forgot that there are things now in the active Air Force called Family Days. I'm not sure if every base has them, because I've only been to one. But basically, a family day is like a free holiday. It's when they give you time off to enjoy with your family. I believe it is usually around holidays. Case in point, Monday is Memorial Day, so don't quote me on this, but they do come sporadically. And I think the last one that we had was in December, either around New Year's or Christmas, one of them. Well, yeah, it's a day, there's no work, only mandatory staff has to be in, everyone else it's essentially a vacation. So I went to work a little bit, picked up some things from the lab, checked on some stuff, and did some adulting throughout the rest of the morning and early afternoon. So I'm back here. I figured I'd throw an early video up for everybody. Here's a good point that I did want to bring up prior to or after my discussion last week about things to do once you do move in. I might have touched on this before. I tried to watch my video prior. I didn't see me talk about it too much. So basically, when you move to a new area, everybody's different, and you might be an introvert or an extrovert, or you might be introvert or extrovert looking to change roles, or it could be neither. I don't know. I'm not a psychologist or psychiatrist, or you for that matter, but you have to, I strongly suggest that whatever it is that you do that you feel comfortable with, that you start doing that as soon as possible. And as a suggestion, do things outside of your comfort zone. So again, you are making a huge move to a place that you probably not familiar with, whether in this country or abroad. You don't want to be locked in alone with those thoughts of isolation. It will get to you. It'll be a pretty big cancer on your life. Aside of work Monday through Friday, you don't want the knowledge that after work you're just going to be coming home and sulking, which did get me 1 or 2 times. And the only way I was able to cope was I just threw myself out there. I've been blessed in that I don't really, I like to throw myself in the middle, like the center of attention. I like to get myself out there, get myself known. I like to talk to people I don't know. I used to do performance theater, did some theater, or at least some theater classes in college, spoke at my local church. I've done a lot. So speaking out to people is natural to me, and making friends is something I like to do. So I was blessed in that. Even though I was in a new area, when I started to feel down, I just volunteered for anything, things I've never done before. Christmas caroling, I did that this year for the first time. It was weird, but hey, knocking on people's doors, giving them some treats, and singing a song for them, even though I don't know anybody, that was cool. Donated blood, helped cook for people on base. Watched, babysat some children for some people on base so that they can go and enjoy like a group outing or something. And a couple of other things, interacting with the people. I even went to the grade school to do like the whole show and tell, not show and tell, but like a science fair type thing where I could discuss the Air Force and the chemist side in the Air Force to young children. But again, not bragging or anything, just saying that there's a lot of things that I haven't done ever that I want to do here, so that I don't get that time to sit down and sulk, because that will make your deployments or your TDYs or your PCSs just miserable. Just do stuff, and they're good for your bullets. Which if you don't know now, start researching. Priors you already know, but for the non-priors, basically every year you have to submit in your officer performance OPR. I forget what the R is. Well, either way, it's a sheet that you will have had to have practiced this before you left OTS or ROTC or whatever prior to your commissioning. But basically, you will list down 7 things in bullet format. Study the tongue and quill about that. That's a whole video on itself. But 7 things discussing what you have done, how it has improved the Air Force mission and or those around you. So the more that you throw yourself out there into the environment, the easier it is for you to fill that out because you've done things. So for me, I have 2 or 3 now already. It's only been 2 months since I've been here, so it's pretty cool. Of note, though, write those down so at least you know what you've done throughout the year. Just do stuff and make notes of what you've done so that it's easier for you to do this later on. And I'll discuss this later on when I have to start writing my own out, so I can give you guys some firsthand feelings on the matter. Another thing I did want to talk about that I did mention a bit prior was the government shutdown thing. So if you've been paying attention to the news, you notice that we've had about 2 shutdowns in the last month. One in January and one February, like what, 2 weeks ago or something, or a week and a half ago. It's loopy. They don't really train you for this because it's not supposed to happen. But basically, I'm going to give you the most difficult scenario, being that I work with civilians, government, civilians, contractors, and myself, and military. And by government civilians, I mean DoD employees. So unless you have that wide range of staff at your base, it probably won't be this hectic to you. So your mileage may vary. But basically, when we hear that the government has not come up with a budget plan for X amount of time, a few days prior to it happening, your base commander or someone higher up should be sending out a chain-wide email letting everybody know that things may or may not go south come the due date for the budget. Then your site commander or the highest ranking staff at your highest ranking military member at your base or at your area or shop should know, should speak with you regarding what your plan of action will be if everything goes down. So for what happened with us in the January shutdown, a few days prior, we got I believe we got an email from Major General. We got an email stating that things may or may not go well, and to be prepared. And then our site commander which was our colonel, sent out another email stating, okay, this is exactly what we will have to do. And she wanted us to have a meeting, all military members to have a meeting prior, because it was a pretty big thing since we have 3 different groups of people. And I'm sorry that it's getting a bit crazy, but stick with me, because it was for me, especially for the first one, because again, you're not used to it. So we all meet up, and basically what was to happen is that if you were scheduled to go TDY, if you have to go somewhere for a conference, if you have to go somewhere for official duty or a class, you can no longer go because they cannot, nobody can foresee whether or not there would or wouldn't be a shutdown. And in that case, there wasn't. So you couldn't be funded for anything that you were doing when you left. So they tell you not to go. And if you have already left prior to the shutdown, when the shutdown occurs, you have to, within reason, come back in the fastest amount of time as possible. You can't visit there. So if you have a 4-day trip out somewhere and you find out 1 day into the trip, you take the next day and you come back, and that's that. And then you work on getting reimbursed later. That was one thing. The other was that for our area, budgeting was a wishy-washy sort of deal, because we had a lot of projects that had already been funded or still had money from the last fiscal year that hadn't been dried up yet. So some projects, in fact, I think everybody was able to stay on base, government, civilian, which is a DOD employee, and military, were to kind of continue operations as normal up until that budget ran out, and then they couldn't work. Whereas all contractors could not work at all. So what would happen is, come the day of the shutdown, which I think it occurred on a Friday. So Monday, everybody came into work like normal. I think it was, or it could be wrong. Yeah, I think it was, because they couldn't meet up until Monday again. So everybody came in, but contractors had, and I could be a bit fuzzy, but contractors had up till noon, which was 4 hours from the start of the day for them, I think, to get their stuff ready. And then they could no longer be allowed to do anything. So they could come in to get their stuff, because their stuff might have been here because they assumed that they would be working or that they would be coming back, get their stuff, and then be given a furlough letter telling them that they can't work. Government, civilians, DOD employees, they would work again like normal up until the funds ran out. And the military, you being a military member, you will always have to work. So whether or not they pass a budget or not, you have to work. The issue with that, though, was we didn't know whether or not we would be back paid. Everybody assumed that you would, regardless of your duty, but nobody know if you would or wouldn't be back paid. So it got wishy-washy. To the credit of my supervisors and the base commander and all of that, they did stress that if there was an issue, that people were there to help you out. Yeah, so if you are ever, and I hope to God not, but if you are ever in that situation where there's a government shutdown and funds are low because you just moved in and you don't have a steady income yet and all of that, people are there to help you, so don't sweat too much. But do know that as a military member, you will almost definitely, in fact, you're definitely going to be at work unless there's like something horrible that pulls you off of it, God forbid, or you're getting married or something and you put time off prior. But you know, the last one that happened in this February was a bit easier, since it had I think it was like Thursday they didn't have a decision, and then Friday morning 6 a.m. they did. So by the time we went to work, it had already resolved itself, so there wasn't that big of an issue. To my knowledge, though, places on main base, which is all military with a lot less contractors or DOD employees, certain areas did just completely shut down. There was no budgeting or anything. They were the government, and government has no budget. They can't be paid, so trying to get a hold of finance when either nobody is there or everybody at the base is trying to find out if they are or not getting paid. Huge fiasco. So again, yeah, save your money. If not for the moving thing, for the if something happens with government, you're okay. But yeah, sorry if that was a bit confusing. If anybody has any questions, please again shoot me an email or write a comment down, and hopefully I could drum it down a little bit more, make it easier to access. But hopefully you never have to experience that, because it is confusing. Like, you'll have to work, do what you can at work, even though you're minimally staffed, because most people can't work, or having to tell people that they can't work and making sure that they can't. And you don't know how long this will last, because it's not on you, it's on Congress. It's a big headache. Oh man. Another thing I did want to talk about, PT. So everyone knows that the military as a whole does pride physical fitness as a top tenet of all members. So in order to commission, you will definitely have to pass your PT exam, or your PTA, physical, there's a PFA, sorry, the PFA, physical fitness assessment. It's scored from 75 to 100, yada yada. You'll have all known this by then, but for those who don't, I apologize. You need to pass in anywhere range from 75 to 100 in the areas of your push-ups done in 1 minute, your sit-ups done in 1 minute, and your 1.5 mile run time. They will take your height and waist and your weight. Sorry, your push-ups, your sit-ups, your 1.5 mile run, and your waist. These four will be allotted points for you to hit that 75 to 100 mark. They will also take your height and weight, but that is, I think, for if you have some issue with your waist or something. They think you're fat, but it's your BMI or something like that. They at least have the numbers. I'm not really sure why, but they do take that. But it's not like it's not given points. For the push-ups, again, you have to do a certain amount in a minute. At least for the Air Force, for the military, for the Marines, for the Navy, for the Army, and for the Coast Guard, for the reserves. I'm not sure if there is any difference. I'm sure there is. I think for the Army you have a 2 mile as opposed to 1.5 miles. In the Navy, I'm not sure if they have to swim or not. But for the Air Force, it's the push-ups and the sit-ups in the minute and the 1.5 mile run. I can go into form and all of that later, but as an issue, and this is more of a personal story, I put all that I had into the OTS, PFA, and I passed. I got an excellent score, which is over a 90. But because I had got that excellent score and graduated, and I was on cloud 9 coming out here to start, I had lapsed in going to the gym often. For one, I hadn't had a gym membership here up until last month. Or so, yeah, I think last month, because my gym was Retro Fitness, which is nowhere near where I currently am. So I found a new gym, but then I'm spending too much time getting acclimated to the area, or getting out there and volunteering and all these other excuses, that I lapsed in the gym that I did set up with. I think I'm in fitness gym or something like that. But yeah, I don't even know the name of it, even though I'm there. So now I know that I've definitely declined in my performance. I'm getting tired quicker. I'm getting tired quicker when I'm running around the track. I can't lift as much as I can, even though I like how my arms look. They're not as strong as they could be. So now I have to kind of play catch up to where I was 3 months ago. February, January, 3.5-ish months ago. So a strong suggestion that even though you'll be on cloud 5 million when you get your butter bars, don't stop working hard. Not to say that I've become lethargic. Not to say that I've become lethargic, but I definitely have waned on keeping myself up there, and now I have to catch up to that. You don't want to have to play catch up. They do tell you this. You will hear this from friends and family all the time. You've made it, but don't slack. This is true. It affects me. I'm over here winded. I'm like, I could run this. I should be able to almost sprint this. Why am I wheezing now? And due to that, because of course, the better that you do. Sorry, I might be backtracking a little bit, but a PT is mandatory. Dependent on where you are, it might be once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times a week. I'm not sure. For us, it's once a week, minimum, and then another day or two, dependent on what you scored in your test, your physical fitness test, or assessment rather. Your base, it might not even be mandatory. The issue is, however, depending on your score, if you got an 89 to a 75 to an 89, you have a PT test every 6 months, and if you score over a 90, it's every year. So you really want to hit that 90. Conversely, if you hit that 90 like I did, you don't want to be complacent and then just think you'll catch up at the end of the year, because then you have way more to work, as opposed to just keeping it and then slowly improving over a year, as opposed to doing a drastic improvement in a short amount of time. To that end, I can give you another story later on. I kind of, starting off, the slowest you can run is a 13 minute and 36 seconds, at least for a male under 30. That is the slowest that you can run, 1.5 miles, which might be general to you, but I did hurdles in high school track. I was more of a short distance runner. 400 was about my max. So I had to learn to run really soon, because I kind of pushed it off. I wanted to focus on the weight and the physique instead of and my push-ups and sit-ups, instead of my 1.5 mile time. And when I finally timed myself, I was 17 minutes, which sucked. But thank God I was able to bring it down to 11 and some change. So I can talk about what I did there and what I'm currently doing to get back there. But yeah, that was essentially all that I wanted to do today. It's quick, high and dry, talking about everything. Again, I have some time this weekend, so now maybe I can learn to do some things, make things spoofed out, maybe actually have a stream, some games or something on the side. I'm not sure. But yeah, thank you for listening, watching. Please feel free to like, favorite, subscribe, share, all of that stuff. Please comment. I do have 1 or 2 people commenting each video, which is awesome. The more the merrier, though, so I can answer your questions directly. I could ramble about a lot of things, but I would more so like it to be directed towards things that you do want me to hear, and I can't know that until you let me know. So please feel free to do that. Before I forget, I haven't said that before, thank you guys a lot for watching. I'm not getting 1,000 views or 1 billion views or whatever, but I am getting views, and that's more than I could have thought. I was doing this again just to help me cope with the isolation and to go pay it forward a little bit, and I'm getting some notoriety, and even if it's just one person, it's awesome, so thank you, and hopefully I can pay it back in dividends. So again, feel free to email me, leave a comment, let me know what you guys think. Hope you have a great weekend. Hope you have a great Memorial Day. By the way, if any of you, to be somber, if any of you have been affected by the recent strings of shootings, Florida, I believe there was another one today, this Friday, 1 or 2 even, one at a college that may or may not have been confirmed, and like another one. And if anybody's been affected by all this stuff, my heart's out to you. I'm sorry that all I can do is offer condolences and prayers. I really wish I could do more. But yeah, hopefully no one is affected, and those of you who have been or who are affected, I pray you find solace. Anyway, thank you all, and have a good weekend. watch Black Panther. Really, really good.